I think the ability to tolerate rejection and to not let it affect your confidence and self-esteem is basically a superpower. I think it's one of the most important things in the world, and especially for people who are pursuing a career in some sort of creative field. Music, definitely, it's huge. I'd imagine for acting as well, pretty big. You hear so many stories of people who've been successful in this way by just persisting and persisting and persisting, and 2,999 people said no and slammed the door in their face, and then the 3,000th person just said yes, and that changed everything in their life. They weren't perturbed by the 2,999 people that told them that they weren't good or told them to go away, and that it paid off massively. I think most people give up for that reason, whether it's direct rejection from other people or it's just it's just the world kind of rejecting them and what they're doing and not giving them the response that they want. I think that's why most people give up, probably. So yeah, to be able to tolerate that and to still be confident and be at your best, I think is enormous. You hear about this concept also with men trying to meet women, and to be fair, I mean, I think the approach of talking to every single woman you see, and I think in a sense it works, because it's it's the numbers game is referred to as, but I think it's pretty annoying. I don't know, I just find it's the idea of anybody talking to me while I'm out in public, I find kind of annoying. But yeah, I mean, it appears to work for people, because it appears to work for people who are not bothered by the constant rejection over and over again. Because for some people, being rejected once, whether it's professionally or for their art or by a woman or man, is enormous, and it's really painful and a huge blow to their confidence. And imagine that happens 8, 9, 10 times. That can completely destroy your self-esteem and make you a lot less functional as a human being. So if you're able to withstand that, you're a lot better off, probably. I don't really have this skill. I thought I did. I used to send thousands of emails. I used to spend so long when I finish a project and I just email blogs over and over again. The amount of emails I've sent to blogs is just unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. But yeah, I don't know. I did a lot of crappy gigs, and I just convinced myself after a certain point, I don't know, I just always had a kind of bad attitude about it, and I just thought people don't like my stuff when I do these gigs, and it's not helping. And as for the blogs, I don't think I made a bad decision necessarily by not emailing them, but probably what was harmful was how much I let it affect me emotionally, and how personally I took it, and how sort of not strategic I was about it. I don't think it's something that's worth a huge investment of time, in all honesty, emailing Pitchfork employees and stuff, especially now. If you've been on there recently, you'll know what I mean. Trying to get their attention, I don't think there's much point in doing that. I don't think it's a worthwhile way to spend time, really. But strategically trying to get yourself written about and get yourself more press and coverage could well be a very worthwhile avenue. And I at a certain point just completely disconnected myself from all of that, because in all honesty it really hurt me. It really hurt me quite badly, that just the time I put into emailing them, and the time I put into what I was making, and my feelings of feeling I was being treated unfairly, or I wasn't being given time of day or whatever. I let it have too much of an effect on me, and I used to spend hours just like devastated over it, basically, like, and just completely despondent, and not really reacting positively, not thinking strategically, taking it very, very personally. And perhaps I was right to do so at times, but really, mostly, it was a waste of time to think that way. And the same with shows. Like, I was thinking about it today, because I used to do a lot of shows, and like, often my music would get a weird reaction, like people just didn't know what to think of it. But very often there'd be like one or two people at those shows who loved it, like, and who started following my stuff online. It's quite difficult to get like just one new fan. Like, that's quite a big thing, like, to get one or two people who suddenly start listening to your music. Like, that doesn't come easily, you know. And I remember one time I did a show, and there were 3 musicians. It was me, this guy, and this woman, and like all separate acts. And then there was a bartender, and there was no one else there. Like, that was the entire show. There was no one else there. And the bartender really liked my music, and he bought a t-shirt, and then later that day he went and bought some of my music on Bandcamp. And I was thinking about that today, and I was thinking, like, I'm a bit of an idiot really for not doing more shows, you know, because clearly to some degree it worked. If I had filtered out all the people who thought I was like a fucking crazy person, and a weirdo, and who didn't like what I was doing, that doesn't matter. That's completely unimportant. They have no effect unless you allow them to. The only effect they can have on you is emotional. They can't harm your career just by not liking your music. If I filter those people out and I did shows en masse, I would have accumulated more and more people who would have been interested. And I guess I was too afraid to do that. I was too weak emotionally. There are all sorts of semi-valid excuses I could make for that, but there's no point really. I should have just been stronger about the rejection that I was facing, or that I felt I would face. And yeah, the same applies in so many respects. So yeah, I wouldn't say I have like any particular like any like really strong strategies for going about this, but I think it's very helpful to know what you're up against. And I think a seeming brick wall of endless kind of rejection, unscalable, you know, wall of rejection, is what most people trying to make it as any kind of artist will be up against. That is what you will feel probably most of the time, is like it's just you know, impenetrable. But that's what you have to prepare yourself for. You have to prepare yourself for that feeling. You have to prepare yourself to not be bogged down by that. You have to prepare yourself to not be upset by it, and to navigate it sensibly. I think one way to do that is, and I don't think this is a straightforward thing to go about, but just to work as much as possible on your own internal confidence, you know, like knowing who you are. Like, I have for me sometimes this is like, because I get so caught up in putting my music out and trying to like get listeners and and when that process doesn't work, I can get like really depressed, and I think like I've failed and I'm shit. And well, I don't have that thought. Some people, I don't really go to like I'm shit, but I will often think this thing I'm doing at the moment is shit, and I'm not doing well, and I'm fucking up what I have, like, because I believe in what I'm doing, but I start to think I'm screwing it up, basically, and that I'm not like operating at my best or whatever, and I sort of lose confidence to some degree. And just taking time to actually think about what I'm doing and to remember why I'm doing it, and often to listen to my own stuff is really helpful, because I remember like, actually no, fuck it, I love this, I really believe in it, I think it's really good, and I need to, you know, behave accordingly or act accordingly. So whatever you can do to maintain your own internal unshakable confidence that is not dependent on the validation or approval of others. And remember that being like accepted, it's not about validation. It shouldn't be about validation, because that's not a sustainable energy. If you want financial opportunities and you want creative opportunities and you want more people to hear your stuff, then that's like amazing. That's something, you know, that I think is definitely worth going for. But that's what you're trying to be accepted for, really, ultimately. I think like the validation, you're looking for short-term validation, like that's, you're gonna feel wounded a lot. So I think try to be as pragmatic as possible, and do anything you can, to put yourself in a state of not needing that validation from other people. And I think you can apply the same thing to relationships. You know, you want a relationship because you want companionship, you want to spend time with somebody, you want to have fun, like not just that you want someone to say yes to you. You know what I mean? It's not just that you, because I think people can just get caught up in that, like they just want somebody to validate them and just to say like I like you, you know, they just want someone to like them and to validate their existence. And like, again, it's just not very stable footing to be on. It's not going to last. It's not going to do that much, I don't think. So remind yourself why you're going about these things, these career things or social things or romantic interests or whatever. Remind yourself what you actually want out of them, and remind yourself of the good qualities that you have and the things that you do believe about yourself. And I think that will make it a bit easier to face the constant kind of rejection and failure that life may or may not, but probably will in most cases, throw at you.